For a while now, I've been trying to trace the roots of my mental struggle. I've been trying to trace the roots of my mental struggle. I've been trying to trace the roots of my mental struggle. Trying to trace the roots of my mental struggle. My mental struggle. My mental trace the roots of Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mental Roots podcast. So this is me, Nathan Aday, host and founder of Mental Roots. So Mental Roots is just this multimedia brand and projects that I'm building now just to tell black male stories in regards to mental health and identity, and which is very important. It's very underrepresented in the media. So that's kind of why I'm here to do this. We're obviously 2 seasons deep, and we're nearing the end of season 2. I know this has been a long season. It started and stopped for various reasons as I've finished uni and trying to make time for job hunting and all of that stuff, you know, growing up and transitioning in life. So I'm taking my time to get this season out. We've got about, including this episode, there's about 7 more episodes till we finish. And today we've got part 1 of my chat with a rapper. Finally, we've got a rapper on the show, and I've known this guy for over a year now. So I've been trying to get him on for a while, but this guy's busy. You know, he's making moves. He's being a mental health advocate. So, you know, no harm there, man. Like, you know, I'm just glad that we've finally been able to have a chat. And we recorded our chat in October 2021, just so you get a sense of the time that, you know, we did this. But his name is Shocka. Some of you may have heard of him, some of you may not have heard of him. Regardless, this conversation just kind of really delves in who he is, and his name is Kenneth, by the way. So we're listening to Kenneth's story. You know, before there was Shocka, there was Kenneth, and so yeah, we just he keeps it real about how music shaped his identity growing up, and kind of the gap in the market that he feels in British rap in terms of doing conscious rap, but not in the stereotypical way that many of us may think of it as. And so it's just thinking about like the value of very wholesome messages in hip hop, you know, and especially in regards to encouraging young men to open up, because a lot of it stems from who we see as our role models. If we don't see our role models, you know, showing a good example, then how are we going to know how to really express our emotions as men in a healthy way? So that's why Shocka does what he does, you know, in and outside of music. So without much further ado, we're going to delve into part 1 of our chat, where, of course, as the title of this episode indicates, we're mainly talking about him filling the gap in the music industry as a mental health advocate, especially in rap. And we talk about, just how music and creative expression has helped him in, you know, navigating life. So without much further ado, let's get into it. And before we do, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you stay subscribed, even on other podcast platforms like Google Podcasts, Spotify, all of that stuff. Let's help the algorithm. Let's keep this podcast growing like it should be, by you subscribing, you interacting, liking, whatever your platform allows you to do. If you're on Apple Podcasts or any platform like that where you can leave a review, please, and let's just get this thing boosted. And really, in 2022, I want to see this whole Mental Roots brand explode. And speaking of the brand, the animation as well is out, so you can check out the link in the description for this episode to watch the Mental Roots animation that I spent over a year making during lockdown, in partnership with the BBC and Rural Media. So all of that is there for you to watch and familiarize yourself with, as well as subscribing on the podcast on all platforms. So with all those plugs out of the way, let's just get into it. Part 1 of my chat with Shocka. Let's go. There we go. So Man, like Shocka, it's been ages, man, but we finally
It's
had the
bruv.
chance to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
If we was to
yeah,
go
man,
through all the
just
hiccups we've had to get to this point, I
yeah,
was like,
we're
if
trying to.
that'll take another 20 minutes.
Yeah, just for the listeners, like, I was just saying before we hit record on this, like, I think a few months ago, or even maybe even last year, I can't remember, but I remember a long time ago,
Yeah,
I
I think
know
it
I
might have
wanted
started
you.
from last year. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted you on the podcast because obviously, for those listening who are not familiar with who you are, um, obviously you're a very big mental health advocate and you're a rapper as well. And so I mean,
hmm
I'll let you properly introduce yourself and who you are and what you do. But like, I just knew like you are one of the first people I wanted on the podcast for real. So this is a
yeah,
big
definitely.
moment for me, really. But yeah, it was funny because last week we were meant to do it, and then you had your doctor's appointment and different stuff. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, I think the more time we give it, I guess the more you've had time to grow, and you've got even more to
yeah,
talk about
exactly,
than if we were to do it
exactly, exactly.
those many
And
months ago. Yeah,
it always falls in the right. It always falls in the right time anyway, because like it's just after World Mental Health Day as well. So that's
yeah, yeah,
perfect timing, and we'll never
yeah,
forget that either.
yeah. So let's get into
And
it.
plus, how can you not have me?
Exactly.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
how can you not have me? How can you not have me on the Mental Roots podcast when my roots got thickened through my mental health journey? Like, I have to be on this.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Because that's what this podcast is all about, man. Black men
Yeah.
opening up about their mental health. And if you see my more recent episodes, I've started broadening it to black women as well. I'm getting them on the show,
Okay.
getting their perspective. And now we're starting to have some white guys as well coming up. So just getting knowledge from
Yeah, yeah.
every area, because everyone can contribute something
Definitely.
useful to the conversation. So
Definitely.
yeah, man, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and yeah, we'll get into your life story.
Yeah, I go by the name of Shocka. I'm an artist from North London. I'm also a mental health advocate. If people hear the name Shocka, as I always say, and they think, why did I pick that name? What does that name mean? The name has two important meanings to me. Number one is because I wanted to shock my friends, my family, and the world in a positive way. Like when I'm done with this whole thing, when my life's finished, I want my family and friends to look back at my life and be like, do you know what? I'm really surprised that I had no idea that God was going to do something so incredible in his life. That's what I want, and that's what I'm heading towards. And it's been manifesting. Like it's been happening. Like I've done some mind blowing things so far, and we're nowhere near the end. So that's the first meaning. The second meaning is actually an acronym that hit me one time, and I think it was meant to hit me. And the acronym stands for Spiritual Healer Others Can Knows Around, and that just means the more I'm open, the more I'm vulnerable, the more I share my story, and the more I let people know what that looks like. It gives someone else the opportunity to see if they want to emulate that. Because that's that we're humans, we learn by examples. I mean, people come here
Correct.
and leave their life examples, and then we study it and see if it's something we want to implement into our lives as well. So that's all I'm doing is just being a real life example, and then people can see that and be like, do you know what? He seems like he's healed and he's got better. Let me see what he did, and then
Mm-hmm.
I can heal myself in that way. I never ever wanted to be like the preacher route. So I've got nothing against preachers. If that's your calling, that's your calling. But I
Yeah.
never wanted to be the person that forces my beliefs onto people. I wanted people to come to me. So if you come to me,
Yeah.
I already know that like you're 50% on your way anyway, because like you've stepped out to come to me. So you're more receptive to listen. Whereas like, like the people you see on the street giving out the flyers, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or like with the big microphone sometimes. The reason why
Evangelizing.
that's not the evangelizing, yeah,
Yeah.
they've got the right intention.
Mm-hmm.
The intention is pure, like they've got the right intention, but how they're going about it is
Mm.
the people that they're talking to are not enrolled on the journey.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
want people that's enrolled. I would rather have a stand that says, if you're interested in Christianity, let's have a talk and then sit at the table and then wait to see who comes to the table and then we can talk.
I
Because
love
I
that.
know for you to come over to the table, you're interested. than me just being in people's faces at a random spot. I just, you know what I mean? And people are just, so yeah, that's the approach I've always wanted to take anyway. So yeah, that's how I look at it. It's a long
Perfect.
answer, but we got a long time.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just what I want to say before we start the conversation. Like, I just want to acknowledge the fact that you are a man of the people, man. And like you've just said it yourself, you know, that whole approach of instead of just preaching the message of, oh, as black people, we should be doing this, or, you know, we should
Yeah,
be more aware of our mental health. It's very easy to preach it, but it's another thing to live it in front of people and like, yo, I know
yeah,
this is my message, but here's where my inconsistencies are. You know, I'm still on this journey with you. I haven't
definitely, 100%.
I'm here with you. So, and you've always been transparent about that on your social media. I've heard all of your albums as well. Um, and yeah, like Impact Over Numbers is great.
What's your favorite one?
Whew, I can't lie, Conscious Crud is yeah. I feel like it might be Conscious Crud to be honest, because
You're
that
the
intro,
second
bro.
person to say that to me.
Yeah, because that intro for that album was mad. Um, but I mean, all of
Yeah,
your work,
Vent one, I think. Yeah,
yeah, Event One, jeez, that beat as well. Like, yeah, that was hard. But I mean, I liked Impact Over Numbers as well in terms of like the whole, um, just the whole journey, and I felt like
concept.
subject matter as well was really developing. Even with the prelim project as well, talking about, you know, being a single child and, you know, different things. Like you're really
Yeah,
telling your story, which is nice. And for me, like when I listen
yeah,
to your music, it's it's refreshing because when we hear a lot of lyrical rappers, I think it's great that they have loads of double entendres and they're very clever with their wordplay. But sometimes I
hmm,
feel like that can take away from the vulnerability of the music. And with your music, it's just like
yeah,
it's like it's not too lofty. The language isn't too complex. The wordplay isn't too, you know,
yeah,
like it's conscious music, but it's relatable, down to earth, everyday language, conscious rap, if that makes sense. And so
yes,
that's the
yes,
unique
and
thing I like
that's
about your music.
no, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And the reason why I'm happy you said that is because it reflects on the way I learn as well, the way I learn things.
Mm.
I like to learn things at the most basic level, the most basic childlike level. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just how I learn things. But the reason why that's better to me is because once I've learned it, it means I've really understood it.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I like my lyrics to be that way. I want my lyrics like I think I can the kind of music I make, I can go into any setting and perform it to any audience.
Yeah.
50-year-old,
Mm.
25-year-old, 6-year-old kid, because it's so simple. It's in the most simplest form, like the self-love song. Like you give everybody else love,
Yeah, literally.
but you never give yourself. I can say that anywhere. Who can't I say that to? Do
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So I like my lyrics to be like that. I like it to be like, especially with conscious music as well. Because the reason why people are afraid of the word conscious anyway is because they feel like as soon as they hear
You have
that
to be
word,
very
oh, he's
brainy to
about to say
understand
some
it. Yeah.
deep. Yeah, do you know what I mean? He's about to say some deep. So like I hope that's one of my missions as well, to like take conscious music to another level by making it be more simple. And
Yeah,
I think
more
that's what Bob
accessible.
Marley did. That's probably why Bob Marley is one of my favorite humans in general and artists that ever graced the planet, because
Mm.
his music had messages in it, but they were so simple, like One Love, Redemption Song, like all these songs were like
Mm.
powerful songs, but put in the most basic way. And I
Yeah.
think I think yeah, that's the formula I've got, and it's been working for me.
Awesome, bro. So let's get into who you are before all the music came along. Like, what's your background? Uh, talk about the roots, talk about where you grew up, what you were like as a kid, and yeah, I guess if you could summarize as much as possible, like kind of the main challenges you had as a young black man growing up in terms of identity, knowing who you are, and yeah,
Mm.
let's take it from there, man.
Okay, background, Nigerian. Mum's Nigerian. Are you Nigerian, Dave?
I'm Ghanaian, actually. Did you not know that?
Okay, cool. Yeah. Nah, I've totally forgot. I
That's all
don't
right.
think we have spoken about that actually, or we might have. Yeah. Mum's Nigerian, dad's Nigerian. I'm from a place called Benin, Edo State. I'm starting to find out a few people are from that place. Like Dave's from there. I didn't know. I went to Google the other day because I was like, Dave's Nigerian. Let me see what part he's from. And I went to Google and I found out, oh, he's from Benin, Edo, where I'm from. So that's sick. So yeah, I'm from Benin. Mum and dad from Benin. I'm an only child. Um, meant to have brothers, but I mean, I don't know. People would know the story from my music, but my mum had two miscarriages before me.
Oh man.
So
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, so yeah, no, I mean, it happened for a reason. I guess everything happens how it's meant to happen. So that's a bit. My mom's story is a whole incredible story in itself. Let me just stick with me.
Yeah.
So only child. Grew up in an area called Tottenham, Broadwater Farm. It's like Broadwater Farm is one of the most notorious estates in the whole of Britain. If you type Broadwater Farm into Google, you'll just find out so much. I did a documentary on it. I posted some of it on my Instagram. It's on YouTube as well, where
Okay.
I
I'll
go
check
through
it
the
out.
estate and I'm just explaining the estates. I'm explaining the estate's history. Princess Diana came here, came down to the estate and gave her blessings. Like it's a proper. The history in this estate is crazy, and it was known for negativity, but now it's been known for positivity. Like Heady One just got a #1 album. He's from here. Bando K, which is Mark Duggan's son, he's from here. He's doing well.
Wow.
Classwood Sterling is a football coach, and he's like guided. So all of us learn how to play football because of Classwood. So there's so much positive things coming out from Broadwater Farm at the moment.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Before we continue, I just want to share with you something very briefly, something that's really been helping me with my concentration and productivity with all the work I've been doing, finishing uni, finishing the first 2 Mental Roots short films, which I can't wait to share with you. All of that stuff, in addition to the podcast, needs some high-level concentration and motivation, especially during a pandemic. So if you're a busy guy like me, you've got loads of things going on and you want something that can boost your productivity, I highly recommend some natural caffeine energy shots that I've been using, which you can mix with tea or water or whatever you want. It's got a nice rich raspberry flavor packed with vitamins and really good natural caffeine, which doesn't give you the crash and high calories like a lot of high caffeine drinks that are commercially sold. So if you want to order those shots for yourself and see how they can help you, then check out the link in the written description for this episode on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And if you want to let me know personally how they help you when you do order them and try them for yourself, then message me at my personal Instagram page, which is at Nath_a day. So if you're watching on YouTube, it is right here on the screen. You can see it for yourself. But if you're just listening on a podcast platform, it is at NATH_ADDAI. Message me there to find out more about that product and any other products that I've been using, because I've been using other products as well as different workout techniques and things to help improve my physical health, which in turn improves my mental health. So thanks for listening. Let's get back into the episode. Enjoy.
But in terms of how I was when I was younger, I was like the cool kid. I was like completely like carefree because like my mum, she spoiled me because I was her only child. And then I
A
just told
Nigerian
you.
mum who spoils their child. Interesting.
Yeah, but it makes sense now. I told you the history of what she went through to get to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 2 kids she lost before, so that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Because she was looking at me as like something extremely precious. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I mentioned it in the first place, because of what I was about to say now about being spoiled, is because of what she went through. So I can tell she looked at me as something like proper precious and spoiled me. I got everything I wanted, but which helped me, and it didn't help me. It helped me when I was younger because it helped me be cool amongst my friends, and it helped me be carefree, and it helped me just, I had a good childhood, man. I got no negative, bad things to say. Like
Mm.
I really enjoyed my childhood.
Sorry,
That's how it
when you say
helped
your
me.
mum
But it,
spoiled you, do you mean like financially or in terms of time or like how what do you mean by that?
materially,
Materially. Okay, got it. Cool.
yeah, and time, and both, both. I'll say
Mm.
both,
Okay.
both. I was really like at both, but like I got everything I wanted. I was the house where people will come to, that my
Mm.
friends will come to play computer games. I had PlayStation, I had Dreamcast, I had Xbox, I had GamesCube, I had everything I wanted. I
Oh,
had
game.
so like my
You're
childhood.
taking me back, bro, because
That's
when I
what I'm
was little,
saying. I
right?
had GamesCube. Yeah, go on.
When I was little, I had this was when because we used to before we moved to Essex, me and my family, we in my preschool days, I was in South London, so I was in kind of near Brixton, Clapham Park area, and we used to live in a flat.
Mhm.
And I had a Nigerian friend. I think we ended up going to the same primary school together, but he was a few floors down, and he was that friend who you just come around. He had the silver PS2, and you know them ones where they have like you're
Yeah,
always the player too because you're the visitor, and he's got the nice
yeah,
controller. I've got the
yeah,
tacky black one,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a lot of people's stories. Like I had everything. I had the Dreamcast, I had the PlayStation, I had it all. So it worked to my favor because like my childhood was amazing. I got friends that had horrible childhoods, like they hated their parents.
Mm,
I got everything. I didn't even realize my mum was I didn't realize my mum was struggling to make all of this happen. That's how
mm,
easy she was making it look. It's
yeah.
only now. That's why when I made the song Single Mothers, it's because I took time to reflect and I started to see certain cracks that I didn't know that slipped past me before. And I was like, oh,
Mm,
okay.
yeah.
My mom used to smoke a lot, but I never
Wow.
used to, I didn't really, I didn't know. Do you know what I mean? I didn't get it. But now
Mm,
I'm older and I understand why people turn to smoking and all these things. I'm like, oh, okay, you
yeah.
was really stressed at that time.
Mm,
So, but yeah, so it worked to my favor in terms of being spoiled and getting showed all of that attention and getting everything I want. But it worked against me because I never went through adversity.
mm,
And adversity is necessary in life. Like I'm trying to change the whole perception around adversity because I don't think people understand. Without adversity, your life is miserable, bro. You need to be tested to know who you
mm.
are. You have to.
Whew.
Every great person
Gem
is.
number
You
one.
have to. Every yeah, gem number one, adversity. Let's start from there. You need to be tested. It's the way your character gets built. It's the way you learn. It's the way you find out who you are. And I had no adversity coming up from zero to, let's say, 2021. That's a long time. I never
Mm,
had nothing. Just a great time. So
mm,
it's like, I think God was like, when I got to that 2021, God was like, yeah, do you know what? It's time, son. It's time for you to wake up and experience what life is about. And
mm.
I think that's when I had my first mental breakdown, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I joined a group called Marvel, which people know me from. It was me, Double S, and Vertex. It was a three-piece grime group.
Mm,
It was like 18, 19, doing incredible things. We put out our first mixtape.
mm.
Am I meant to go into this already, or is it too early?
No, no, no. It's cool. I was even curious because I know about Marvel, but I haven't actually listened to any Marvel music because I've been so invested in who you are now as an artist.
You
But
got to go back. But do you know what?
yeah.
Um, You'll be so surprised when you listen to it though, because it's two
Mm,
completely different people. It's
yeah.
like you're not going to see no traits of like how I am now in the music,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
that
man.
music.
Yeah, because I mean, it's even interesting because I've been listening to different interviews. I've forgotten the podcast, but I remember in one interview you were talking about, or it might have even been in a magazine article. I've been doing my research, but I remember like you were
Yeah.
used to open in the group of Marvel. You used to open for people like Skepta, I believe, or and like other big
Yes.
artists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting how when you play the mainstream game, it gets you in the lights and you gets you getting the it's like
Yeah.
lots of clout moments, right? But um
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But just to get into the
Yeah.
history of it.
That's the impact of a number section.
Yeah. Um how did you meet the rest of the Marvel crew? Like were you friends in school or like how did you guys meet up?
I met we're all from the same area.
Mm.
Double S was like, he was like the star of the group. Double S is like the face of the group. He was kind of famous before he even joined the group. Everyone knew about Double S in the area. And he went to a school called D&K. And that's where we met. Me and Double, someone introduced me and Double, like, yo, you two are the sick MCs from the school. You need to spit together.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember we spat together. We kept in contact. Then he got shipped to Uganda. I don't know what he did. I can't remember what he did, but he ended up getting shipped to Uganda for boarding school. Then I got sent to Nigeria for boarding school. Then, when I came back, I wanted to do music again. So I was trying to find out what's going on. And then there was a place called Always Recordings. I don't know if you know, but Chipmunk's manager started this place called Always Recordings that people used to go to, and get their mixtapes put out and get studio time. And that's where I met Vertex, the other member. He got sent to boarding school too, but he did boarding school in this country, in Norwich.
Okay.
So I met Vertex, the other member. I went in there, I gave him my project. He was taking so long to do it. And those times that I was like hot-headed, like, so I remember calling him one time saying, yo, like, bro, I've given you my project. Like, bro, what's happening with it? And then I forgot what happened. I think he was still longing me off. And then I came down to Always Recording to see him. And when I walked into the room, he was like, that's the guy. I was thinking, what have I done? I think he listened to the project finally. And like, he thought it was so hard. And everyone was like, yeah, man, that's Shocka, bro. He's been spitting, but he had no idea. Yeah. So from that day on,
just for context, what era is this? What is this, like late 2000s, early 2000s?
That's one thing I'm not good with is dates. Have you noticed in my interviews that I never say like, now I've said this, you'll notice. Have you noticed I never say like apart from when I got section, I never say like 2008 or 2004. Never. Go back and listen to all my interviews. I never, like, I'm so bad at dates, but this was probably 2008. I think this was 2008.
Cool. Okay.
This was like 2008 times. So this was before Marvel. This was, go on.
I wanted to know, because again, coming back to the whole theme of black male identity, right? Obviously it's no mystery, like, the role that rap has played in young black men forming our identity. Even for me, I had I'd say a really kind of sheltered upbringing, you know, a very Christian family. I think the only rap CD we ever had in the house was some Christian hip hop CD, and at the time I didn't know it was Christian hip hop, but it was a bop anyway. I liked it, so I would put it on. But yeah, man, like, my only exposure to hip hop was through like the TV channels, and I've shared this a few times on the podcast, but for me it was like escapism. It was like although it was quite weird, because I felt like it was something that, like, I could pretend to be a cooler version of myself, like when I'm quoting certain rappers' lyrics. Like, it made me feel that sense of confidence, right? And we don't get much of that as ethnic minorities. There's not a culture that makes us feel like, you know, we're superheroes, and rap is one of the few things as black men that we feel represents our potential. And so for you,
yes, definitely
articulate, like, what was it about rap that, you know, helped you, you know, in terms of your identity and just expressing yourself?
You know what? I transitioned into rap late.
Okay.
I was a grime kid at heart. It was later on, I'm talking later on, that I went back to the Nas albums and the Tupac albums and the Jay-Z albums and the Biggie albums, and I had to do my history. But I was a proper grime kid, so and that's why I've always got this little thing with grime, because I was, you never taught me anything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm very curious to see what you sound like on a grime beat.
Bro, it's all there, fam. Everything's there for you, bro. Everything's there, bro. Go there. The history's there. We've got a Westwood freestyle, which is like a legendary freestyle in the grime scene. It's on YouTube. Me, Double S, Vertex, Gets, and Wretch. It's there, bro. Yeah, fam. Where have you been, bro? Yes, bro. It's there. Like, it's on. Yeah, it's on YouTube, so you can watch it. So yeah, I had a thing with grime because I felt like I didn't learn much about myself through grime.
Mm,
There was only a few artists. That's why I always respect them highly. Like Gets, I remember Ghetto Gospel CD. I remember learning so much from that.
mm,
I remember Kano's Home Sweet Home. I remember Wretches learned from my mixtape. Funny enough, yeah.
mm.
But apart from that, I didn't really learn that much from grime. So like my development into finding my identity and who I am came later after I went through the adversity and after do you know what I mean? And then I
Yeah.
started doubling back and listening to like so rap music. That's why I love hip hop music because like there's no age cap on it because of
Mm,
how mature the content is. Like Jay-Z's 50 making albums,
yeah.
whereas at grime there's an age cap on it. It's like Wiley just dropped a new
Yeah.
album. I guarantee you haven't heard it. You
Mm.
haven't heard it because of the content you know that you might receive. It's not nothing that pulls you in to want
With
to
grime
listen to
as
that
well,
album.
there's and I guess today's equivalent would be like trap music as well. It's like it's for the young
Yes.
people. It's a very energetic thing. Whereas
Yeah,
when we talk about more
definitely.
traditional hip hop, like in terms of the boom bap beat, the soul samples, the emphasis on lyricism, that still lived on. Because we're even seeing in this generation,
Yeah,
we've got the J. Coles and the Kendricks, and even the younger generation like
yeah.
YBN Corday, who's now just Corday, he's still
Yes,
carrying the flag
exactly.
of lyricism, you know. So it's like
Exactly. Exactly.
I get your way of thinking, you know. It's more it's a timeless thing, you know. It's like you can grow old doing that, you know. So yeah, I
Yes.
think that's what you're
Like
saying.
made Nas made Illmatic at 17. Bro, where was your head at? Do you know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
I show you a typical 17-year-old grime artist now, they're not saying what Nas is saying on Illmatic. I tell you that much.
Mm, mm,
Do you know what I mean? So it just shows like the difference. And what you said was a great point about in the hip hop genre, you can go on for as long as you want to. And
mm.
that was an important decision for me to make because like by the time I got section and really came out, I was at 26, 25, 26.
Mm.
And I was like, yo, I want to be doing this music thing for like another 10, 15 years.
Mm.
And like, that's when I had to start, reconsidering if I'm going to continue doing grime or if I'm going to go into hip hop. And that's when I made the transition.
That's amazing. So, okay, you're in Marvel, right? You're doing bits.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, talk about kind of what led to your mental health breakdown and what were the different things that fed into it? Like how many, this is a deep question, but looking back, what different layers were
Yeah.
you coping with as a man and as a black man that kind of led to um I guess this breaking point mentally?
I think, no pun intended, yeah, when I say this, no pun intended, but I think it was the shock of everything. Yeah, obviously my name's Shocka, but I
Mm.
think it was the shock of everything that
The shock of what
triggered it
particularly?
because the shock of failure, us getting
Mm.
dropped from our record label.
Mm.
I the amount of stories that I've seen since me of people that's fallen into depression and nearly gone into mental health hospitals because their record labels have sent them crazy. Like, do you remember JoJo? Do you remember JoJo?
Yeah,
And she had that song with Bow Wow. Have
I
you
didn't
noticed she
know about
disappeared
that
and she's
one, but
just
I
coming
know
back?
about like her early days of, yeah, with hits like Too Little Too Late and stuff like that.
Yep. She disappeared. She's just coming back. Her label had
Yeah.
her in some fucked up contract
Mm.
for like the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, bro. And she's now getting out of the contract. And do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Stuff like that. Like,
It was
if there's
only,
any industry,
yeah.
I think all industries have the capability.
Yeah, I was just saying
Yeah,
it
go
was
on.
only like a few years ago she started making music again. So yeah.
Yeah. I think all industries have the capability to send you into like having a breakdown or like really deteriorating their mental health. But music is the easiest one to make that happen.
Wow, so that is it. End of part 1 of my chat with Shocka. Yeah, very interesting stuff he says about the music industry, and it is, yeah, I agree with him, man. Like, it can be a very grueling industry, and it really does test you mentally because, yeah, man, and especially as a black man, you know, trying to get your voice heard, and it's almost like you just have to give in to the stereotypes in order to make a selling. But even now, you know, thankfully we live in the age of authenticity, and of course record labels, you know, still have their agendas and whatnot, but through the internet and through wider access to education, you know, as artists and as creatives in general, we can better and more authentically express our voices, and therefore be at more freedom to talk about things like mental health. So yeah, big up to Shocka for being so vulnerable and sharing all of that. And as you could hear, he was just about to talk about his actual manic episode, like his mental health breakdown moment, and that's a very meaty part of our conversation, which you're gonna hear in the next episode, which comes out next Tuesday. So stay tuned for part 2. Again, if you haven't done so, if you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Like, comment, comment specifically what you like about this conversation. If you are a musician or you know anyone who's a music artist, drop if they've had a similar experience in terms of, you know, trying to get their voice heard and the mental challenges that come with that. One more thing before I go, just remember, we're still looking for volunteers, specifically for social media. In this day and age, marketing is everything. So you know what to do. Reach out to us at mentalrootspod@gmail.com. On YouTube, you can see the details here, or you can see it in the written description for the podcast. On other platforms, yes, contact us. You can either DM us on Instagram at Mental Roots Podcast. Follow us there as well. But especially message us if you know you can contribute something to this podcast, whether it's being another helping hand with the editing for YouTube and all other audio platforms, or social media. Social media is the priority, whether it's making the social media content or just posting it and doing the hashtags and messages, all of that stuff. Whatever way you want to help, let us know, because we're trying to build this community, and it's hard work by myself, man. I got a lot going on. Thank God I've got a job. I'm working at the university at the moment, doing a temporary job there, and it's good. I like the people I'm working with for sure. But on top of that, I've got another business going on as well, being an affiliate with an amazing health movement. So that's going on as well. You would have heard in the middle of this episode me do a segment regarding that. So I've got a lot going on, man, and leverage is important. So let's make this podcast better by working together and all contributing in some way or another, whether it's contributing money or contributing your time to help create the content. Drop us an email, or if you know anyone else who could be of help, or if you know anyone who would be a great guest in the podcast as well, then please give us a shout at our email or Instagram. That's that. We'll see you next week with part 2 of my chat with Shocka. Stay blessed, stay safe, stay motivated. Don't think New Year's resolutions. Think resolutions for your life. Think long term, and you'll be happy. So yeah, let's go conquer 2022. Yeah, bye.